Well, how about that? 4 in a row. New guys. Old guy back. Well, he's not really old, but he's back. Lots to talk about. It was nail-biting for a while. Kind of a chaotic finish, but it doesn't matter. 2 points is all that matters. And let's face it, a lot of Dallas sports fans needed something good to think about tonight, and we've given it to them. As the Stars beat the Blue Jackets, this is the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show. I'm here. Sean is here. Sam and maybe Lud's alumni game going on. We might find that out. Let's do it right now. This is the DLS Dallas Stars post-game show after a very, very nice Sunday matinee, early evening victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Inside the DLS podcast studio, I'm Owen Newkirk alongside our brilliant, I don't even want to call her the fill-in producer for John, who's in New Orleans, because Katya is literally the queen bee around here. She's our head of production, the Cowboys DLS producer. And for this week, starting today through the whole week, she's running Stars.
You got me the whole week.
Yes. No stray cats, though. She is highly domesticated.
I don't know about all that.
Well, at least anyway, she's not living on the streets. Let's get to it tonight with our good buddy, Sean Shapiro, our DLS Stars columnist extraordinaire, and the one-time better half of the CarCast, and unfortunately, the Quarcast.
Yes.
Sean, we've got super chats already filing in.
Yeah.
We don't have an update on Maverick Bourque yet. Natalie just put that in the chat. We will probably hear from Sam on that a little bit later and see if we can get something. Before we get to all the big storylines, I couldn't help but see the cruel irony of the day that Mason Marchment returns from a long injury because of a deflected puck to the face. Maverick Bourque leaves the third period due to a deflected puck to the face.
Yeah, that was a first of all, quick question. Is it 4 or 5 in a row now, Owen?
Is it 4?
We said 4, but is it 5 in a row?
You're asking me like it's definitely 5. It's 5 in a row.
It?
Oh, for goodness sakes.
I think
it's 5.
I think you may have just done. I think you single counted Vegas there. Kind of what happened.
Honestly, why did I think both teams had won
stretch,
3 in a row coming into tonight? Had Columbus won 4-2? No, they won 3 straight. That's why I screwed up which team did which. How about that? Trying to make the head of production impressed, and all I did was screw it up. That's a great way to start. 5 in a row for the Stars. I can tell you this. 7 wins in their last 11 and 15 wins in their last 20. Sean, they hit a little speed bump after the 9-game point streak they put together, and now they've turned it right back into another 5-game winning streak. Yeah,
and it's to kind of, after giving you a little bit of crap for that there, it was to get what you wanted to talk about with the Bourque and the blood, with Bourque and the blood on the ice. I let my 6-year-old stay up because she was watching a little bit of the game with me, and that's on the TV. And the amount of times they showed the replay of the hit to the face and the blood on the ice and everything like that, it was what the 6-year-old kept pointing out how much blood there was. So definitely, we are hoping Maverick Bourque is okay. We will hope Sam will give us some update when he joins the show. Very cruel irony of when we came back and we saw Mason Marchment throughout the game. He's the amount of times he kept taking his helmet on and off and everything like that on the bench. It was definitely an adjustment for him, but pretty good showing for him. So
Sean, not because our YouTube followers need me to chirp you back after I screwed up a pretty obvious stat, but it does seem as though your Wi-Fi has decided to let you down a little bit. So if there's any chance you can swap it on the fly, you let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to think that you took the edible a little too early tonight. We just sent him right off. Just kick him out of the whole shot, right? Oh, he's still there? Okay. I love it. He's trying to fix it all right. And it's kind of bad that I couldn't figure out that that was 5 wins in a row. I'm still a little hung up on that, but we'll get over it and move right along. Katya was trying to be too nice and said nobody noticed it, but I think we all noticed it. Yes, thank you, Trey. 5. Yeah, see, Trey noticed it. See, we all noticed. We'll all stand up. It'll be anarchy, and we'll just move right along. So Dallas with another win. They are, believe it or not, that's their 20th win at home. They're now 34-17-1, and I hate to say this, I'm not trying to rub it into the other DFW sports teams, but they're kind of like the most consistent winning team at the moment, right? I mean, obviously the Rangers in the offseason, the Cowboys, yeah. And the Mavs got kind of pummeled against the Cavs tonight, I believe. So
Too soon.
Yeah, too soon. That's the wounds are too deep. So heck of a performance as we wait for Sean to come back in. He's back. Sean, are you there? He's sort of there. Yeah, he's not there. He's, I mean, it's like Sean always. He's always sort of there. All right, I'm going to get to the recap, and then Sean's going to come in and tell me to stop recapping. Mason Marchment had the first scoring chance of the game tonight, and it was a brilliant partial breakaway. He charged it.
Here.
There he is. See, I told you. As soon as I started to recap, you'd pop in and go, that's enough recap.
I was speaking in the green room and just kept cutting off there. So I don't know.
Well, your connection sounds way better, so maybe we can do a show.
We switched to Wi-Fi networks, so we made adjustments on the fly, which is the important thing.
Your technical support is top notch. I love it.
All right, there we go.
So Sean hates to go chronologically, which is what we do with LUDs, because it makes sense, right? You start with the beginning and you go through the end. So Sean, since LUDs is playing a game, I'll let you, as our guest of honor, what head storyline would you like to talk about first in tonight's post-game recap?
First, my first thing would be Mikael Granlund looks like a pretty good fit, right? Like that to me is the biggest takeaway. We kind of knew what Mason Marchment, even coming off the injury, we kind of knew what to expect with Mason Marchment. We've seen him with Dallas this year. We've seen him all year, even before the injury. I know he missed 17 games, but to me, it's Granlund comes in, and he provides a bit of that instant impact that the Stars were definitely hoping for with the trade and everything. So to me, that's the big one. And then from a game perspective, Evgenii Dadonov was just, you talk about a guy who, as this lineup moves up and down, and you have utility pieces that have to find new roles and things like that. Like Dadonov continues to be such a good piece for the Stars and making a difference. And when moments matter, those would be my leads. Those would be my leads coming out of tonight, Owen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Dadonov 2 goals when they rallied from being down a couple of times to the Blue Jackets was a big deal. I think Marchment coming back really did give him a lift. And I'm not just trying to say that because that was the first scoring chance of the game. But Sean, we were talking in the press box tonight. Taylor from the Hockey News was to my left, and Sam and Robert and Taylor for NHL.com are to my right. And then Leah after that, and Heike and all the writers. The first thing that was said was, boy, Mason Marchment isn't easing his way back after missing 17 games. And I felt like the Stars gave him enough time to start to get his breathing right, because obviously after you break your nose and have surgery, breathing is probably the hardest part of getting yourself back into the game shape.
Yeah, and as I said before, and I don't know if it came through earlier when everything was getting all spotty with the Wi-Fi earlier, but it was interesting to see how often he kept taking that helmet off on the bench, right? Like how many times he kept doing it to effectively catch his breath and get used to it. And it was, I bet him going, I'm curious. I don't know if Sam will speak to him after the game, because there's obviously there's some new players Sam has to effectively meet. So I don't know who will be made available for Sam after the game tonight, but I'd be curious if for Marchment, how much going full bore into this game, attacking it that way, made him not think about the breathing, right? Like it's impossible not to think about it on the bench when you're sitting there, but if all of a sudden you're going full speed and you're attacking it the way he did, maybe that breathing becomes secondary, and maybe that's the best. Maybe that's one of the keys to his success coming back right away here.
Well, I mean, look, it's obviously always a not disappointment. That's underselling it. It's tragic when a player suffers an injury of any kind, let alone the kind that Marchment suffered. But particularly when he's I mean, nobody deserves to get hurt, right? Although maybe there's some players that you hate and you say, yeah, it's okay, right? He deserved it. I don't know if I like that.
Let's let people keep that to the Discord chat and not get ourselves in trouble.
That's right.
YouTube show.
But honestly, to me, it's extra tragic when a guy's playing as well as Marchment was. He's playing with the most confidence we've seen him since he signed with Dallas. He's been playing with with way more control. Right. Even at the beginning of this season, he looked like a guy who was sort of on the edge of, is he going to fall down? Is he going to make a play? Is he going to take a penalty? And then within maybe 5 games of the season, he sort of found a new level and became one of the more dynamic wingers the Stars have. And he's obviously a great forechecker, but he was completing the other part of his game. So then you take that out of your lineup shortly after you lose Tyler Seguin for the rest of the regular season. It's a pretty big hole in the lineup. And you have to think between the 2 new guys in Ceci and Granlund and then Marchment, that's a pretty big jolt because Colin Blackwell and Brendan Smith, we were talking about in the pregame show, they didn't deserve to come out of the lineup because of play. They were pushed out because of extra bodies. The Stars haven't had that for a while.
And I think Marchment too. Marchment's a guy on this team. You talk to guys on this team and you hear about what a spark he is just from the everyday when he comes into a game and everything like that. I remember talking to a couple of weeks back when the Stars were in Toronto and I was up there for the morning skate. I was talking to Jake Ottinger about Marchment and Ottinger are obviously close golf buddies. They golf together all the time. The other 2 who golf with them quite frequently, fittingly, is Matt Dumba and Brendan Smith, 2 guys who are golf partners, but effectively fighting for one spot for fighting for one spot on the ice right now at the same time. But Jake was telling me a little bit how much Marchment is one of those guys that really just brings the whole room together, the way he, between his personality and his attitude, and you combine it with the way he attacks the ice, it's one of those things where it's easy to, not a guy with a letter or anything like that, but a guy who's easy to follow by example. And when he comes in and he plays well right away, and they know how much he's been missed out there and what he's worked through, you can't help but imagine that that's such a huge spark for this team and in that room when they see that.
It's not easy to come back after missing as much time as over a month. It was 17 games, but he was really good. You mentioned Granlund. And you know what's interesting, Sean, and then we'll maybe go through the goals in our second segment here on the post-game show. But Cody Ceci is known for being kind of all over the place. I like the fact that he's allowed to do that because he's playing with Esa Lindell. And I think they complement each other pretty well out there. And, you know, there were some times where Ceci was the first guy in on the forecheck, just like Thomas Harley likes to do. There were a couple times where he was the tip play guy redirecting pucks in the slot, exactly where you want your defenseman to be. But when Esa's out there, I don't feel as worried about something like that.
Well, then we've seen Esa Lindell learned Esa Lindell spent years with John Klingberg. So Esa Lindell knows exactly how to handle someone who wants to go on voyages mid shift and everything like that. So I think that's one of the reasons I really liked Ceci playing with Lindell from the beginning. Was you talk about a guy who's going to be that safety net, and a little bit kind of like you think about the rubber band that pulls someone back to reality. So yeah, Ceci played his game, maybe a little bit rich for where he should be used by the end of the season. But as we talked about before the game started, if he's back into a third pairing role at the end of the season, everything like that, this is a really good trade. I thought he was decent enough tonight, not as instantly impactful as Granlund in my view, but definitely you can see nice work by Esa to help ground him effectively.
And we'll talk more about that, but I'm going to make a point that Sean won't have time to comment on until after the ad break. But
of course.
Which is what I like to do to Sean anyway, is to just box him in a corner and then say, no, not right now. But he played 22 minutes tonight, 22-16. Yeah. I'm guessing that in the long run, the hope is that maybe he's down in the 18 range or so because Miro Heiskanen is back eating up those big minutes. But Lindell at 23, Ceci at 22, Harley at 22.47. Those are your top 3 uses tonight. It wasn't Lyubushkin like Luddy thought yesterday during our emergency pod. We'll talk more about that in a minute, Sean, right here on the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show.
We go to ad now? Is that where we go? I think I got one of Lud's favorite reads here. So we're doing Rugged Road here. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features of the Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright. You never lose a drink, just like Lud's always wants. The perfect variety of outdoor coolers, from fishing and tubing to camping, tailgating. I think it was like 77 degrees down there today, Owen, or something like that. So it would be a perfect day for the Rugged Road cooler. Yeah. So gear up for your next adventure with the Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code DLLS for 10% off.
It's time for me to talk about Ice Shaker. And we actually have one in the studio that with a big Cowboys logo, but it's in the other studio. So I'm just going to tell you about it. I've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fan in your life. Perhaps you've heard of Ice Shaker. Ice Shaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and Major League Baseball, and it will make the ideal gift. It's created and used by the Gronkowski brothers. Ice Shakers has sold over 1 million bottles. They have changed the game with workout bottles, and this is the bottle you've been looking for. Go to iceshaker.com. Use the code ALLCITY25 at checkout to save 25% off your order. They have some great features. Kitchen-grade stainless steel bottles, no plastics. It's not going to absorb anything and odors into your beverage of choice. Plus, they have a patented twist-in agitator to break up the powders if you're doing the protein drinks. No annoying shake of the ball. It is a high-quality product. Order your team-branded bottles today at iceshaker.com. Use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Ice Shakers, show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market. Ice Shakers. All right, Sean. Do you want to comment on Cody Ceci's ice time tonight as I gave you no time to rebut?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of said my piece where it's if he's back into kind of a third pairing role come playoff time, this will be a really good trade and a good move, and I expect that with Miro Heiskanen coming back. I thought it was a bit of a rough game for Matt Dumba to me. So I thought that, and not like he was overly bad, but it was one where Ceci kind of had to step in. You're just going to
stoke the fire of our diehards and people in the chat. They love it when you bag on Dumba.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a bit of a rough game, and I mean, so it was kind of necessary with how they were building things out today, and so I don't mind. This is the reality of where the Stars are, right? Like, we can't get too upset about who's playing too many minutes in this right now. Like, as long as Miro Heiskanen's out, it is effectively Band-Aids and recovery tools to keep things going until he gets back. So I'm not going to get upset about Cody Ceci playing 22 minutes while Miro Heiskanen's out of the lineup. I'm not going to, because he is a top 4 option right now. That's the reality right now. So
I agree.
It's once Miro's back, that's when the proper usage comes into play. So I'm not going to be upset about his usage right now. That's not something that I'm going to be overly worried about, as long as we're going down the right path when healthy.
Sean, I'd just like to point you to the chat comment that Dylan just made. Don't be nice, Sean. There it is right there.
I'm not a friendly person. I'm not.
All right. We're going to do a lightning round, just like we did in the CarCast.
Yeah. There we go.
8 goal comments in the next 10 minutes, give or take.
Okay.
So let's start with the miss. Cole Sillinger, 2-on-1 shorthanded. Stars get the early power play. Boy, did he swing and a miss. It was a beautiful setup pass. He's wide open, and he flat out whiffed. And I thought, Sean, that he was going to really rue that miss, but then a few minutes later, he ended up scoring the game's opening goal at 6:43 as he almost kicked it in, but then Casey DeSmith kicked it in.
Yeah, that one was weird to me because I don't think it was I would have a hard time calling it a distinct kicking motion, like on the replay, on the review. Like, it was definitely kicked, but it was more of him stopping, and I don't think he swung the leg and all of that stuff. And it was you and I were texting about it during the game. Like, DeSmith did technically kick it in, but just like if a high stick happens, and we're going to talk about what a high stick might be a little bit later in this
or what
program,
it might not,
or what it might not be. It's if you high stick it or kick it, and the goalie tries to make a save and it still goes in, that it's not like the goalie trying to make a save declines the kick. So I think Pete DeBoer, like we saw on the broadcast, I think Pete DeBoer was trying to yell about it, but clearly the Stars also didn't think enough of it to challenge for what I believe would technically be a missed stoppage challenge. So to me, that one I found kind of interesting. And I don't know what Intrepid, I'm going to just keep calling him Intrepid Sam. Hopefully Intrepid Sam asks a little bit
we
about.
We have so many nicknames for our little buddy, don't we?
I know.
Hot Sam, the Samando, the terrorizer of all plumbing.
Yes.
The Samboni. Gilligan is, let's call, I mean, just every week we got a new nickname for Sam. Our Intrepid beat writer.
I would be curious to hear just what Pete DeBoer thought on that play and if they considered challenging it at all or not. Because I always remember going back to when Kelly Forbes was the Stars video coach. Kelly would always tell me, unless you're 100% right, you don't do it, especially with the repercussion.
And honestly, once I saw the replay and how DeSmith's leg came back and knocked it in, it was an own goal. We had several of those tonight. And by the way, Kat was on top of him. She's a big Manchester City fan. Well, I know. That's all right. We've got Tottenham, we've got Liverpool, and then when Luds is here, nothing. Anti-soccer. We'll get to that later. We talked about Marchment, though. Sean, the tying goal in the first period from Mason Marchment, it's almost like it had to be him. And it was exactly what you need from him. Get to the front of the net, Bishop with a long shot, he redirects. It was a pretty skillful tip play, but that's something they really missed with Marchment being hurt for so long.
I really liked the way he kept getting there in various ways. The goal itself was obviously great, and the tip was getting there. But there's a couple of different times just throughout the game where Marchment would basically come off that wall and he would spin off checks and everything. I thought he added a bit of that. It's not just the size with him. To me, it's a bit of the route and the understanding of timing and the way he goes on this stuff. And so that to me was just kind of an exclamation point on what he did throughout. Like there was a chance probably about a minute, probably like a shift before that, where he had a nice little 1-2 that he kind of created out of the half wall there. So to me, it's Marchment being rewarded. And we talked a lot about him. He was instant impact, and this team now, if you weren't aware of what Mason Marchment did for the Stars, like if you didn't pay much attention to this team all season and kind of tuned in around now, this was a good game of a good side-by-side showing of like, hey, this is why he gets talked about so much right now.
There were a couple more high danger chances in the first period. We go to the second, however, and the Stars give up a goal to Adam Fantilli that started on a pretty nice backhand wraparound by Kirill Marchenko, who was denied by DeSmith, and then Fantilli scored on the rebound from above the crease. It was reviewed briefly, but you know what, Sean? The referee was in great position. He thought about it for a half a second. He awarded the goal, and it was clearly in the back of the net.
Yeah, that one was, I was actually surprised. I mean, I know they reviewed it, but that one to me is one of those where on the overhead is so clear it's in that I was surprised they didn't just say they didn't have that ready right away. I was actually surprised they reviewed that one, but good for them on reviewing it, but it was clearly a goal.
Then 65 seconds later, the new guy, Mikael Granlund, with a beautiful pass. I mean, it started with Harley. So let's give Harley credit for a great forecheck, because don't you want your defenseman, the F1 and the forecheck? We were talking about Ceci earlier. Harley gets in and really disrupts the play, gets the puck to Granlund. And Sean, the pass to Stankoven, the one-timer, the finish, it was a really pretty tying goal for the Stars.
Really pretty tying goal. And just as someone who has the overly goalie nerdy stuff on this, fascinating play to watch from Elvis Merzlikins' standpoint, where he loses his stick on that sequence, makes actually a couple saves using a player stick, and he's not that he's in a position to make the save, but it is an interesting sequence where he's got two sticks literally as the zone entry happens, and it throws the player's stick away while he gets ready to come in. And I thought it was a really smart play by Granlund on the pass and everything like that, because that's a play where sometimes you get the goal. Sometimes you get the goalie a bit chaotic there and you just shoot right away and you worry. Just the slight delay to the pass just opens up a little bit more. Really nice play. And we talked about Granlund being an impact player right away. That right there is one of those where I'm sure Jim Nill thought about that play when you make this trade with San Jose like you did yesterday.
Yeah, totally. And that tied it. And look, the Stars, there's been sort of a running narrative this year about Dallas giving up a goal on the next shift or within a minute or two of scoring a goal. It was nice to see them do that on the other side. They've done it before. It's not like the first time, but that was important because Ivan Provorov would re-give Columbus the lead for the third time, third one-goal lead for the Blue Jackets. And Sean, this was a really nice sustained possession in the offensive zone by Columbus. And then just a phenomenal drive-by by Kuraly. I know Provorov's not a big guy, but as we talked about in the pregame show, I couldn't help but thinking, geez, could he help the Stars? Would you go for a guy like that? I think you would.
Yeah, Provorov's a really good impact defenseman. He's a guy who, and it's, to me, it's the type of play on the goal itself. I think a lot of times there's that chaos is in front and you get defensemen and you sometimes just get that shot just drilled into the shins. And the fact that you have a little bit of the smart shot, you don't have to go bar down. You don't have to go to that, but just a little bit of changing the angle a little bit outside and getting it past that first layer of chaos. That's not just shot blockers, but everything else. To me, it's a good goal. It's a smart goal, right?
Well, the Stars answered back, though, and it was just under 4 minutes later, and it's Wyatt Johnston on a power play. And, Sean, and especially Sam, has really been complaining about the usage of the way Miro's been playing as the top power play point. Look, we're not happy Miro Heiskanen is hurt. Let's be clear on this. But there has been a directness of let's see what Harley could do with that first unit. And his pass was clearly meant for a redirection. It was not a pass so he could catch it. It was a pass so he could tip it.
Yeah, and Wyatt Johnston was so good tonight too. Like Harley was like the power play was, we're talking about Harley and the setup for this, and he was really good tonight too. And when the way he kind of has his composure on the blue line is something that is we've always known, and it's the reason that Sam keeps pounding the board for him to get more time in the power play. But like this is his example, his chance for me to prove to Pete DeBoer that, you know what, come playoff time, it's okay for Miro not to be on power play one. And I think Harley's going to start making that case. And then Wyatt Johnston, like tonight, he was a menace tonight. Like he is, I think he led the team with eight shots. He was creating for everyone else too. Like to me, it's funny. We talked about before the game, and like we talked about, Jim Nill and his three young guys. I love how Wyatt Johnston is not part of one of those young guys, because Wyatt Johnston is just he might be the Stars' best forward already. Like he's literally at that spot where he's getting closer and closer to that, like he was tonight.
Future captain.
Yeah, I could see it. I really could see that.
I could too. Tied 3-3 goes into the third period, and Katya and I are sitting in the lounge because I had scootered my way back over here, and we're looking at this game going, great. We're, couldn't get a couple goal lead, make it easy. The graphics and the thumbnails could be the wrong thing, and we're going one way or the other. It's on a knife's edge. And then Evgenii Dadonov decides to make our last 5 minutes a little easier by scoring not once, but twice. The first one was on a borderline high stick. Harley shot it. It was tipped in. It was a beautiful redirection, and it went down in off of Merzlikins and in. And then the second one was on a really nice backhand wraparound off of Damon Severson and in. And look, I know Evgenii Dadonov is not going to be one of the top focus offensive players for the Stars, but this is why he was on the third line to start tonight. This is why he can go up and down the lineup. Think about this, Sean. We still have, this was game 52. We have 30 games left. He's got 15 goals. If he continues this, clearly 20 to 25 this year, which is awesome for him. Tell me your thoughts about the 2 goals in a minute or two.
Yeah, first one, I'm pleasantly surprised it was ruled a goal. And now I tweeted out there, posted the one picture of that high stick. To me, that puck looked over the bar. Oh, there goes the thumbs up. I wasn't even trying to do that one.
Give him some fireworks tonight, Sean.
No, we will. But to me, I thought that one was. I thought it was a high stick. So the Stars, now that camera's a little lower, so maybe it wasn't. It's one of those where I'm sure in the world of, we've talked about using the tennis Hawkeye system, right? Like that's one where maybe that's where it would come to play. But the Stars get it, and to me, it's the both goals happened. But Dadonov was primarily on two lines tonight, right? He was on the line with he scored twice on the line with Johnston and Jamie Benn. That line scored twice. But he was also with Granlund and Ben. And you go through and you kind of look, and I was kind of my rough math. I don't know what you had on this, Owen, but my rough math on that, I had lines Dadonov was on. I had them with a 4-1 edge in scoring chances. It was just, and I don't know how it tracks with you. And that was just kind of, I was tracking his lines a little bit, and that's what I got to know. And so, I mean, he is that utility player that moves up and down, does everything the right way. And it's one of the reasons the Stars can and will win many games, because of guys like Evgenii Dadonov. So
I will have to add up some things of his line, because I have some things I can't do until after we're done with our post-game show. But I believe I had him down for 3 scoring chances alone, plus the rest of his line. So
yeah. So this was just my little jitter notes and everything like that doesn't have anything. No one else will be able to understand except me. So
all right, up next, let's do some super chats. Let's check in with the Samando. And who knows what's going on with the alumni game. I promise you nothing but perhaps chaos here on the DLS Dallas Stars post-game show. And isn't that what we're here for?
Chaos. All right, let's talk about Saturday Neon. Started by 2 college friends / buddies, Saturday Neon makes officially licensed college logo LED neon signs. Perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, or bar. Check out their new Essential Collection, featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for only $75. Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. They're super easy to install using the provided hardware or with 3M command strips. So head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use the code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign.
Thank you, Sean. It's time for us to talk about Game Time. And in Game Time, look, we keep talking about all these great college football playoff games you could get tickets for, NFL playoff games. There's one football game left. I mean, technically the Pro Bowl, but let's be serious. The Super Bowl is a week away. And if you want to get tickets to the big game, you need Game Time. Game Time has a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One of the features that I particularly like is the virtual seat views. That way, if you've never been to the venue, you can see exactly where the tickets are. You know what you're buying before you press pay. Plus, you can use the feature for all-in pricing. No surprise fees at checkout. You get the all-in costs up front. Whether it's sports, comedy, concerts, theater, you name it, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You still like that one, don't you? Did anyone else hear Katya do the Game Time in the very, very background? Yeah. She loves it.
What time is it? Game time. Ooh.
Sam loved that, and then I yelled at him because it's not the copy anymore. But he's right there. Oh, Sam, too soon. I
had to do it. I had to do it.
No, you didn't. I'm sorry,
I'm
Katya.
underneath. I tried to do it over there, and then all the players were interrupting me. I had to do it over here. So a little trigger for you guys.
Buddy.
I apologize.
Sam,
go Mavs.
Our diehards, our viewers have been promised chaos. So we expect chaos. Before you unleash chaos, give us a quick update of post-game reaction, conversation, what's being talked about tonight. Do you have anything on Maverick Bork? There were some pretty concerned fans after the game.
Yep. Pete said that he said knock on wood, and then he said it likely looked a lot worse than it was. So that's good news for him. I don't know further details on if it required stitches and things like that, but he definitely said it looked probably looked a lot worse than it was. And then he joked. I think he was joking, but you never know with Pete. Pete, this was the first time ever, by the way. We took so long doing the interviews, and I guess the team or someone must have dinner or something set up. Pete was standing at the podium when we walked in, waiting for us like a teacher. I felt like I was late for class, and I was in so much trouble when I walked in. I was so nervous. But Pete said that he could actually see the NHL needing to require face protection in the near future. I don't know if he was just kidding because he wants his players to wear it because they get hit every game, but thought that was pretty funny.
It's a fascinating point. That would be. Who wants to give Lud's opinion on that right now and tell everyone to suck it up, because that's the one thing that would definitely come from Lud's right now if you said that.
He would say that, but
I don't think Lutz is wearing a visor. He's going to get fined out here.
He doesn't wear a visor. No, he's grandfathered in, Sam.
His grandfather.
By the way, and Sean and I have had this conversation elsewhere. I'm fully expecting sometime in the next 10, 15, 20 years for full face protection to become a thing. It's just going to take more time and unfortunately maybe a more gruesome injury or something before the league says we have to do something. But I just feel like it's going to happen. I don't feel like it's on the, around the corner. I just sense that in the future we probably see something like that.
It'll probably be when fighting officially goes, right? Like I imagine those two things probably coincide, where it's the lack, and it's one of those things that'll be grandfathered in as it goes, just like Jamie Benn or Ryan O'Reilly will be probably the last players in the NHL without a visor.
Yep, same thing.
As that keeps going, and as that at some point if they go full facial protection, it'll effectively probably coincide with the end of fighting officially being something that is part of the game.
Sam, before you enter the Thunderdome, that is the Alumni game. By the way, a couple of fans said, why isn't Sam at the Alumni game? He is. He's in the event level, just a dozen yards away from it or so. So you can make that sprint in a minute.
There are a lot of goals, not a lot of defense being played from the amount of horns that I'm hearing.
So Kari Lettinen's just at home what he was used to, right?
That's right. Yes, he's used to not having a lot of help in front of him.
Perfect fit.
So, talk about the new guys. Talk about Mason Marchment coming back in.
Live.
What's been the conversation like with Pete and the players? Because did you get a chance to talk to both Ceci and Granlund after the game?
Yep, we had. I was joking with Owen. We of course wanted them after postgame because with the travel and everything, we didn't get them before. So we pretty much had them slotted in unless some other guys had crazy games. And then Marchment scored the first goal, and we're like, all right, cool. First period, we already know who we're talking to at the end of this game. So we got to talk to Marchment as well as Ceci and Granlund. So for number one, I'll go with Marchment first because he talked and he was just so excited. Hugest, biggest smile. So happy to be back playing. He talked about the recovery process a little bit and he said straight up his nose was shattered. He said the breathing was really hard. That was the hardest part of the whole recovery process was just getting the breathing back. Getting some of the mental stuff back a little bit. He looked great out there tonight. The only positive, I guess, of it being an upper body facial injury is he's able to skate, train his lower body. So the legs were probably the best thing for him, which I think is why he looked like he had so much jump out there. He said, I asked him if it was a month's worth of emotion in that goal celebration. And he said, absolutely. I've been waiting for that one for over a month. So he's just really excited to be back, and he didn't take a step back. The two new guys, Granlund, both of them, I mean, very similar message from both of them. They're both very excited to be here, and similar to anything we hear when players get traded to Dallas over the last 5-6 years, they're so excited to be part of a team that plays this way, is so structured, and has aspirations for winning a Stanley Cup, right? Obviously, specifically, these two came from a rebuilding San Jose Sharks team. So this is like the extreme of going from a rebuild to a contender. And they're just excited about being here. They love the structure. They talked about how it's pretty easy to come in and just start playing the game because they allow you to play your game within the structure. But Pete DeBoer said, look, they just as advertised was what he said about the two players. They fit in well. I thought they both looked really good. I think Granlund had a beautiful assist.
Beautiful assist.
It looks like a great fit. Obviously, this is game one. We got a long road to go to figure out where these guys fit in. But the cool thing about the new guys is we mentioned in the emergency pod, they have a bunch of connections, right? They played with Matthew Shane. I believe Granlund said he played with Dumba as well back in the day.
Minnesota.
They played with Casey DeSmith. So they said when they came here, it was really easy. They had people reaching out. Matt Duchene was texting them. They said Matt Dumba picked him up to take him to lunch today before the game. They just walked out. I just saw Granlund walking out with Dumba right before I came on here. So it
Man,
just
and
seems
all
like a
our
good
chat
fit.
people want Dumbo to be shipped out of town too.
Yeah, he's I don't know about on the ice, but off the ice, he's the guy for these two new guys, and good friends with them. But one thing that was really interesting too is Granlund and Ceci both said the thing about Dallas is when you come in as a visitor, it is one of the hardest places to play, and that's not just because of the awesome crowd and the energy in this building. But when you play Dallas here, you expect a hard game. You expect to be in a physical battle. You expect to be tested. They're so structured. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And they're just excited to be on the other side of that, which is a common theme for guys getting traded over here.
Hey, Sean, I wanted to ask you about
especially coming
that.
from San Jose. Yeah, especially
Yes,
coming from San
exactly.
Jose. So.
We didn't get a chance to ask earlier, but what did you think of, if anything, about Liam Bischel's game tonight? I feel like he made a couple of really huge hits. He doesn't go out looking for trouble after the whistle. He's not trying to fight guys. He's not trying to be overly nasty. So I'm not really comparing him to Darian Hatcher. But what I am noticing is that every 2 or 3 a game, he has a pretty big lick on an opponent.
And he follows through, right? Like he's big, and it's silly to say, like there's a difference between hitting a guy and being big and then bringing the rest of your weight through. Like we saw it in one of the things that Owen, you and I saw up close, both in Dallas and Texas, and at least he did a little bit more in Texas, was Jamie Alexiak was huge and massive, but Jamie Alexiak very rarely laid the boom on people, right? It was very much I'm big, and it was more of a slow-moving boulder collision as opposed to a asteroid-style impact, and that's kind of more what Bischel is.
I'm getting out there.
Everything. And
who's chirping you, Sam?
You Sammy, that's
Brad Alberts told me I need to get out there and harass Luds as soon as possible.
Yes. And then go, Sam, go. And then
Sam, go ahead. We have tons of super chats.
Yes.
Get out there. We'll break in as soon as you're ready.
Yeah. The and Bischel too, the way he hits, the way he kind of follows through is big for me. The other thing about him tonight that I think that's going to obviously happen with things kind of evolve, and he grows into a larger role with Miro out and everything like that. I thought he was really good on the PK tonight, and he's been good on the penalty kill for Texas and everything like that. If you go and watch some of that, but I thought tonight he was really good on the penalty kill. I think he got like a minute and a half or something like that. Not a ton of time, but I thought it was good in that role. And I wrote about it today, where a guy who has an opportunity here to continue winning jobs and moving his way up and take advantage of things, and that's what he kept doing. And so he is a big part of the Stars' future, and I'm fascinated to see how high up he can make that kind of launching pad this year, because the sky is the limit with him. Seriously, it is. So
okay, Kat, I don't know how many of the drops that John uses your read through on, but we do need the bing bong for our super chats. So if you can find the bing bong, we'll start our super chats.
Get the lasers going. Lasers.
And then, of course, we'll pause when Sam goes chaos on the bench with Luds, and then we'll get back to the super chats as we go along. All right, first one. Pop that right up on the screen and let everybody see I Love Missy 1985, a Mike Madonna and 99 cup here. Sean's pointing for where he wants.
I can't see.
There it goes. Great win to extend our win streak to 5. Thank you very much. Yes, is indeed 5. But don't mind me. I'm waiting to watch Lud show off his 31-337 hockey skills. I don't know what that means. In the Alumni Classic. Can't wait for the excitement to begin. By the way, I Love Misty's been live chatting the play-by-play the whole night. So it seems like they're having fun. And apparently Luds is already a minus.
Oh. Hopefully Sam got I told Sam to make sure he gets some footage there too, because I don't know if, I won't say what the hope is, because maybe Luds goes back and rewatches this show. So go get some footage, Sam.
Yes, we have an idea for tomorrow that we'll see if Sam shoots that or not. We'll see.
Yes.
All right, next one, Bing Bong, if you would please, and thank you.
Bing Bong.
Ardell with a Jason Robertson and Liam Bischel. Jim Nill likes where this team is at. He didn't trade any of the young guys. How about Boy, Ardell won't give it up. Bixel, it's Bishel. That's what he asked us to call him, was Bishel, displaying the ability to get tippable pucks through. He's not just a big bruiser. Viva la Carcast. That is very nice of him. Yeah, look, Sean, we talked about it in the pregame. We talked about it in the emergency pod yesterday. There's no way that the Stars general manager wanted to give up those young talents for a couple reasons. One, he sees a bright future for Bork, Stankova, and Bishel, but also from a salary cap perspective, even with the cap going up a big amount in the next 3 years, they still need guys on a team-friendly cap number that can be big-time contributors. They can't just be 13th forwards.
And the cap goes up for everyone. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, the cap goes up. You can go at this guy. You can add, the cap goes up for everyone. And this league is going to, the money is going to go to the best players. It's going to go to that. So you have to take advantage of guys on their ELCs, on their early bridge deals, on their things like that. And so that, I said it before the show, there's people who are like, oh, people want Liam Bishel. Well, as I said earlier, I want Liam Bishel on my beer league hockey team on Wednesday night, but it's not going to happen. So Ardell makes a really good point about the tippable shot. And we've talked about one of the best at it we've ever seen in Dallas, and frankly, the NHL, is John Klingberg had that really tippable shot that was able to float through. Bishel's shot is a little bit more of a it's kind of more of a straight line thing as opposed to the floater, but he's done a good job of kind of getting that more under control. Like, I talked to someone who worked with him in Texas about it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they said one of the things about his game was there's such a European mindset sometimes for defensemen from the blue line with the wider ice and everything like that to work it wide, and then work it all around, as opposed to fire that shot. Because so many times with the wider ice, and Leon played into the SHL final last year in Sweden, there's more of that wait and see game. And sometimes this year in Texas, there's a little bit of an initiative to work with him with, hey, don't be afraid to shoot that, use your shot as a weapon. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of that. So credit to Leon and where things are going with that. So
we have a lot left. We'll get to the rest of your super chats at the end of the show. But up next in the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show, Sam has gone to the bench for the alumni game with Luds. Chaos is next.
Chaos ensues.
Be a diehard. Let's go to Sam.
Yes.
Our head of production said go for it. Hi, Luds.
Hey, Luds.
Sam, you got to unmute.
You
can't hear you.
Sam.
You got to unmute, Sam. Unmute. Sam's probably got his AirPods stuck in his pocket. I'll text him. Hang on. We can't hear you. Unmute. I just texted him twice. Do you think he'll get it? Luddy's showing the helmet, but he can't. There, Sam goes, oh, what's going on? Unmute, Sam.
Unmute. Nope. Unmute. Unmute.
Nope.
No, come on, Sam. You muted yourself, Sam.
They're all excited, Sam, but you got to hit unmute on the software. Oh, he just hung up instead.
He'll call back. He'll be back.
They're so excited to see them on the bench, and we couldn't hear anything. So
he's like the stray cat that we named because he hasn't gone anywhere.
He is. We fed him in the alley, and here he is.
What about now? You guys hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
There now.
Hey guys! I'll tell you, this whole setup is bull sugar honey iced tea. That's what it is. Bull sugar honey iced tea.
I love it.
Figure that one out. How we doing? I can't breathe. Go to the next guy. But anybody else want to talk? Here, Eddie. Let's get Eddie on here. Eddie,
get over there, Sammy. There's Ed Belfour, the forward.
No.
There's the green team.
We got Josh. Josh is benching Luds.
Are you,
Sam, are you taking pony here?
Sam, you're taking over the power play here?
What do you mean, what do I get a share?
I can't ask you questions. All right, boys.
Hey, Sam, can you hear us?
Belfort doesn't come off.
You're next. All right, it's going to get loud. I'm not going to be able to hear you guys.
Can you hear us at all?
Is that chaos?
It is chaos. I want you to ask Luds why the chat thinks he's a -2 already.
Yeah.
He's going on the full air. He's on the real TV right now.
Nice. Show him. I don't think Sam's getting a second job as a camera operator.
Yeah. So we should have sent Sam with skates so he could have gone out there like live shot from the
with a helmet on.
Yes, with a helmet.
Yes. All right, should we go to the super chats and tell Sam since he's all over the place?
Let's just throw Sam on mute and keep him in the background. Let's keep him there.
Yeah, mute Sam but keep him going. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Sam
has no idea we can't hear him anymore, but he's still.
No idea we can't.
We'll just laugh at him as.
He's the happiest he's been. He's on an NHL bench. He's never been happier. Like look at little buddy. Like.
Oh, Ludwig's over the boards. There he goes. Number 3. Get that footage. We need to zoom in here. All right, Sam. He's trying to sign off. Okay, he's hanging up. I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm going to text him real quick and let him know. Go ahead and film some of. Oh no, I can't do that on that. I can't give up the Luds thing. Go ahead and film some of Luddy's shifts, please. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the super chats. We are on. That was indeed chaos, and
that was chaos.
Look, we gave Sam, just so you know, we gave Sam a wireless microphone to plug into his phone, and I told him the instructions that our GM Ben gave me to how to plug it in, turn it on. Literally, it's one in your phone, one in your hand. Make sure you turn both of them on, and he couldn't get it to work. That's okay. He didn't. Oh yeah. What's a VPN?
Well, he needs Luds. I need Luds to come here and fix my Wi-Fi. That's we're gonna make jokes about Sam. I can make fun of myself right now. I need Luds tech service right now. So.
But we're going to get to the super chats that we didn't get to earlier since we had fun but chaos on the alumni bench. All right, Marshall second. Get your bell ready, Katya. A Pavelski and Duchesne from Marshall second. He has a ton. There it is. Yes. If the Stars are not done with trades yet, who would they be willing to give up? This is an interesting question. This team feels like a well-oiled machine right now, so I wouldn't want to mess that up. Sean, that is the big question, right? They used their first-round pick this year. It's a conditional 4th that could elevate to a 3rd, depending on how they finish their playoff run. What do you think? What if they wanted to add, Luddy and I talked yesterday about the possibility of adding another defensive piece. What do you give up for that? Do you just keep doing first-round picks? Because that gets pricey very fast.
Yeah, when I spoke to Jim Nill yesterday, one of the realities he said was, and I asked him about it, like, look, you say those 3 guys aren't available, those young guys, we talked a lot about them. You just traded a first. You just traded a third. That third. So the one thing about conditional picks that people have to remember is when you trade a conditional pick like that, it effectively locks up both of them. Right. So that's the other thing. So technically they only traded a 4th that becomes a 3rd. But technically, when you've made that deal, now both those picks are now unusable. It's not like you can be like, oh, well, now we can go trade the 3rd because we have to hold on to it in case the condition is met. So the Stars don't have a lot of pure buying assets. And while Jim is not going to agree with my complete assessment of this, after their top 3 to 4 prospects, who are all currently in the NHL, there's not really much of a prospect pool that other teams are going to go really want a lot from. Like, I think the guys I work with over at Elite Prospects, they had the Stars around 29, 30th or whatever in the most recent prospect pool after a bunch of those young guys graduated to full-time NHL status. So the Stars are going to make a trade. It's going to have to be a so-called hockey trade, as Jim Nill told me yesterday. And that means they're not taking guys off their roster unless they can believe they can bring in another player. So if you're Dallas and you're going through and you're looking at this, it's probably going to take a player going out from the current playing roster for another guy to come in. We saw when the Stars did Dennis Gurianov for Dadonov, and he had the impact tonight. And it's going to have to be a trade like that, which makes me. I think the Stars will still look and they will still be around and everything like that. But I don't know how much they are willing to really delete from this roster. And the big one will be, can they get a taker on the one player? And the chat's going to go crazy and everything like that, even though he was helping Granlund today. The big one will be, can they upgrade Matt Dumba? They will definitely look at that. That is something where Jim Nill will look into it. I don't know if it's possible, but it's something they will definitely look into. The one other small move that someone brought up to me potentially the other day was the fact that right now, and this was a minor move, and this was one that would only cost picks and not major assets. Someone brought up to me is, do the Stars believe Magnus Hellberg is good enough to be a backup if or when you have a goalie injury? And so I did have someone mentioned to me, not from within Dallas, but somebody from another NHL organization brought up that don't be surprised if the Stars at least look at and weigh who might be available as a number 3. Just because, and that's not a demerit against Jake Ottinger or Casey DeSmith. It's just the reality of, to win the Stanley Cup, sometimes you need to be able to go 3 deep in net. And so do the Stars feel that they have that with Magnus Hellberg? And that's something that someone told me from another team that they said, like, hey, just watch Dallas with that. Keep an eye on that. And now that's a smaller one. That's something where you can probably find an expiring UFA goalie for a later pick, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's something to watch. So,
all right, let's go to the next super chat. It's from, I believe, Ardell. Ben. Oh, she's getting into the bing bongs too. Well done, Kat.
Yes,
you guys have watched Jamie Benn's career. Can you try to articulate his value to the team? Specifically this season, why do DeBoer and Nill go out of their way to mention him a few days ago?
What was when you mentioned him? Are you talking about how the dealing?
I think
with,
it was when they were talking. There were 2 things. One was a few weeks ago, maybe longer, when Jim. I don't know if that was to you or to somebody, where he said that Jamie Benn was going to be a Dallas Star. They weren't going to let him when his contract expires.
That was more than a few days ago.
But then recently, it was when they made the trade. I think it was yesterday. Nill made a point to give credit to Ben specifically and his leadership group for keeping the train on the tracks in spite of the injuries to Marchment, to Lundqvist, and of course to Tyler Seguin, and amidst some other ones, and then Heiskanen, of course, and to be able to keep winning. I mean, they've won 15 of their last 20 games, and they've been dealing with a lot of things right now.
I think one of the things about Jamie, and they asked about, and Ardell asked about kind of his career, one of the things that, so Jamie matured quite a bit as a captain. Jamie was named captain as a younger player, and he's grown into that role in very several ways. And one of the big things was, Joe Pavelski being there. Like, he really effectively helped make Jamie Benn a better captain, both from a thank you, from a kind of a support standpoint, and being someone who helped him on the team. Who made life easier. And I think my face froze there on the chat. I don't know if the audio kept going, but
more or less
the fact, and then and Jamie has, I talked to, you kind of ask guys around the room and what Jamie does, and one of the things that's always been a defining factor of Jamie Benn is he will never do, there's his leadership that draws players in is he will never ask a player to do something he wouldn't do. And obviously there's different levels to that and everything like that, but it's similar to, I heard similar comments, and they go about their ways slightly differently, and that's okay. But I heard similar comments about Alexander Barkov when I covered Florida into the Cup run last year and everything like that. And guys, Paul Maurice and multiple players in that Florida room talked about how much Barkov makes everyone feel they're part of it and everything like that. Jamie isn't exactly like Barkov, but he is part of there's nothing that the captain won't do that he would ask someone else to do, and that brings everyone else up. So that's kind of where it is with Ben, and it's the reason that Jim Nill wants to re-sign him. It's Jim Nill looks at Jamie Benn as a cultural touch point for this franchise that he doesn't want to give up on. So
thanks everyone who joined on our television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod and check out alldlls.com.
Bing bang.
Okay, back to the super chats. We go to Burned Oils, who threw in a Lundqvist and the year after the Stars won the Stanley Cup. Owen, you are doing great. Easy for me to say. Well, John is out. Just be careful on your way back home on that scooter, LOL. Don't worry, Burned Oils. Remember, the scooter goes into the trunk of the car. We're driving back to McKinney. We're not trying to drive on a scooter on 75 or the tollway. That would, first of all, be illegal, and second, be a horrible idea, even with my helmet and blinking lights. All right, next one. Ryan Gardner, a Haskin and 99 Cup year. Go Stars, are you ever worried about peaking too early, or is the best still very much yet to come in your opinion? Sean, I think it's both, right? I understand that you want to be hitting your best game mid to late April when you charge into the playoffs, but you can't suddenly pull back on the reins and say, don't try to win games right now, because they're still vying for position. They're trying to get themselves at their best moment. There will be ebbs and flows between here and the end of the final 30 games. But I mean, a winning streak right now still means a lot as opposed to in, early April.
I think any chance of peaking too early went out the window when Mark Stone dove into Miro Heiskanen knee.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, right? It's one of those where you can have just, this team is going to be, whenever Miro comes back, they'll be a better team when he comes back, and they will. It's like there's no good nothing good coming out of. There's no good reason for Miro being injured, but the reality of any peaking too early went out the window with the adversity they faced. Right, they are battling to do this right now, and I think that's one of the things that is the mark of a really good team. They're going through some really tough stuff. They're going through the injuries. They're doing this, and they're still coming out on top. And that's why when you start to look at who can be standing there in June at the top, that's why the Stars are in this conversation. And I don't worry about them peaking too soon. I think one of the things about, there's also a built-in benefactor of the rest of the West is good. Right? Like, you're going to be pushed still. Like when the Bruins had their, and I can rip on the Bruins, I guess, because John's not here to defend himself, but like when the Bruins won the President's Trophy and then flamed out, they didn't really have as much to play for, right? Like they kind of hit a little bit of cruise control at the end. I don't think the Stars team is ever going to be able to hit cruise control at the state of the West, and that's going to be the best possible thing for them going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll add to that before we get to our next super chat is just simply that while they have won 5 in a row, I mentioned 7 of their last 10, 15 of their last 20. That's all fine and good. They still have a sizable gap to try to chase down the Winnipeg Jets for the division lead, let alone the President's Trophy race where Washington can't lose, although I think they did lose the other night, even though Ovechkin scored again. And you just have to keep trying to, within reason, you have to keep trying to step on the accelerator.
And the other thing too, it's not just, it's winning the division is a goal, right? But the other thing that you have to, once you get past, like, you want to win the division, that's great. But if you don't win the division, as there is extreme value in having more points than the Pacific Division winner. That's the other thing too, where like when you're looking at the long-term plan and build out, you might finish second in the division. And that would mean in theory, if you go to Winnipeg would have home ice in round 2. But if you have more points, then right now I think Edmonton is on top by games played, tiebreaker, or whatever. Them and Vegas both have 68 coming in today. If you have more points than Vegas or Edmonton and you get to the Western Conference Final, that home ice advantage can be big. So there are lots of things to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next one, please.
Bing bang.
We are up to I Love Missy 1985, second super chat of the night. This one is a Heiskanen and 99 Cup year. Did y'all see my cameo on Sam's screen when he selfied into the show? Also, Joe Pavelski, ding. Boy, she's a pro at it already. She found it. I didn't see your cameo, but I was too busy trying to see if Sam was going to figure out how to use the volume in the microphone.
Is Hot Sam selling cameos now? Is that what's happened? It's like is he going through and doing birthday wishes?
I love Misty's like at the game live tweeting because I believe the last one was, well, there were a couple of them. Ooh, Luds with a nice puck battle. All right. It looks like we only have one more.
Bing
That's
bang.
okay. We can always have more. Allie, our good friend from the Edmonton area, with a Canadian, I believe this might be Allie's first super chat. I think so. A Marchment and 99 Cup year Canadian, or if you would like to use the current U.S. exchange rate, I have it. It's a Sam Steele 1894, which would be the 93-94 first year of the Dallas Stars. Anyway, Allie wrote in, I'm just here to suggest we do a live FaceTime with Sam and Luds on the alumni bench. Well, we tried. We did a little of it. I hope it was enough because I thought we were going to go a little longer, but
we are getting texts of Sam making beer runs for Luds right now. So right now, if you're waiting for written content or something from Sam right now, it's because Luds has been sending him to go on multiple beer runs.
So I'd like to point this out because when he first sent the text with the picture of the Molson, I thought for sure he meant he was having one for Luds, but I told him, you're right. He actually got sent on a beer run by Luds. So Sam ran from the bench back to wherever their dressing room was to get another Molson and bring it to Luds on the bench.
You might need to. You might need to head over. If Sam was the one with the beer run, you might for the beer for himself. You might have had to go back over with the scooter to make sure he got home safely.
Yeah, that would have been a tricky one for sure. So, look at that. And by the way, it was Allie's first super chat, and she's been a great part of our diehard community, covering into the Stars. Love it. Saw her in the chatting on the Mavs emergency pod last night. Sorry, Kat. And you know what? That's been a lot of fun. And by the way, oh boy, Luds needs a Miller Lite. Dang, Stars White had a 2-on-1, but Kari with a nice glove save. Sean, I did listen to Razor do his Stars podcast on the drive in today. He was talking with Bob Bess and getting ready for this alumni. And we've talked about this before on other times, not on the pod, but how former goalies really don't like putting on the pads once they're done as professionals. And, we joked about Al Montoya being hired specifically for that. Bob Basson actually made it known that Kari actually asked them to make sure they had a third, because at some point he might not want to be doing it either.
Yeah, I could imagine that would happen. And that's, we will, I wonder who they'll bring in for that at some point. I mean, what's the name of the? He didn't play for the Stars, but the name of I'm drawing a complete blank on his kid. Name of the guy who was the kid who's semi-blind in one eye, played for the Ducks. You're
talking about Thomas Hodges, who's one of the former E-Bugs. Yeah.
Yes. Like, he's technically an NHL alumni. Maybe he can maybe they can get Thomas on the line for the fill-in.
And the Stars E-Bug, I believe, is Chris Dudo, and he's been a practice backup a few times for Dallas this year. So there's definitely a situation where there'll be somebody in there for sure. All right, last thing we need to do before we wrap this one up, because as much as we'd like to go into the wee hours of the night, we do have a show tomorrow where
we do.
Producer Kat will be running everything and getting us with Luds and Sean and Sam and the chaos that ensues. That'll be a lot of fun. By the way, that show will be at 1:00 Central Time tomorrow here on DLS on our YouTube channel, and then on all the audio platforms afterwards. Sean, this team now has a 3-game California road trip on the way. It's Anaheim, then 2 days off, then a LA San Jose back-to-back, which I always find funny when they have LA and Anaheim, which is an easier back-to-back, but whatever. With Casey DeSmith playing today, it sure does look like the last 4 games before the Four Nations break, they're going to alternate Ottinger and DeSmith. That'd be my guess, right?
Yeah, and I think the Stars are probably assuming Ottinger is probably going to get one of the games at Four Nations. They have no way of knowing that for sure, but I would guess like Connor Hellebuck's probably going to get game 1. That's actually a really good question. I don't know which game Jake would get. I think he would definitely, but you could see Jake Ottinger definitely playing a game at Four Nations.
Yeah.
So I think there's that comes into play as well, because he's outplayed He's definitely outplayed. He's outplayed Swayman so far this year, so you could see that happening.
To me, he's the no doubt number 2 behind Hellebuck right now.
Yes, 100%. And I think he's going to get. They're not going to play Hellebuck all 4 games. I don't think.
Can I give you one fun fact before we wrap this up? It's about goaltending too.
All facts are fun.
That's sometimes true. Well, this is particularly fun. You would have thought I would have taken the note that I scribbled down on a notepad at home Friday. What's today? Sunday. So it was Friday before the Vancouver game. Casey didn't start, but of course I left it on my desk in my office at home. I can see exactly where it is, unfortunately. So I don't have the specific number, but I can tell you that this was the first game this season, Sean, where Casey DeSmith started and the Stars won and scored more than 2 goals or more than 3. And what I mean is so Casey's now 8-6 in 16 appearances, 14 of them starts, and then the 2 relief appearances for Ottinger. He is 8-0. Or he was 7-0 when allowing 2 goals or fewer, and 0-6 when giving up 3 or more. And the Stars were about a goal a game less average when Casey starts than when Jake starts. So there's some run support issues, but they got him 5 tonight, and that got him a win. First time giving up 3 or more and winning as a Dallas Star.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to go, and you bring those numbers up, I'd be fascinated to try to pull those out to see what factors come into play too, because there's a lot of times where DeSmith gets the second game of a back-to-back. Teams tend to be a little bit more tired. There tends to be a little bit of survival mode. The teams tend to score less in the second game of a back-to-back. There's a couple factors that I would, now that you say that, my brain is doing the exploding smoke thing and overly thinking about different ways to go about this, unfortunately. So I really do not like that you just did that to me, because I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. But I can
see the wheels turning already.
Yeah, I hate when you do this. So it's like, it's because here's the thing, right?
I just broke Sean. Sorry, everybody.
No, I know, but it's the whole, like, the other part of it is, it's not that you watch Stars breakouts, right, between Ottinger and DeSmith are there. And it's not that Jake is a tremendous puck handler. He actually used to be a subpar puck handler and has gotten a lot better at it. But there tends to be a bit more of cohesiveness when you look at how the Stars defensemen take the short little corner passes from him. And when you watch that versus DeSmith. And in the long run, I'm not expecting Casey DeSmith to create his own offense, but now you're having me overly think about zone exits and entries and everything like that when it comes to the handling. I
sense an article coming in the future.
Yeah. So,
by the way, I don't know if I'm going to be able to squeeze practice in tomorrow because of our 1:00 show. It's 11:30 up in Frisco, so Sam will probably be there. He may be, Kat's going to love this. He may have to be remote tomorrow with Luds here. We're just going to make it hard for sure. But I can't wait to go laugh with Casey because I brought it up to him. He didn't know. He was fully aware that he hadn't been getting a whole lot of run support, but he didn't know he was perfect and then not when 2 goals or less or 3 or more. It was kind of a stunning stat to see. So he did bring up, Sean, that he had only had 3 home starts. A couple of them were on the second night of a back-to-back. This was his 4th home start of the season. He had 5, I think, second nights of back-to-backs. So he hasn't exactly had the Stars' best game performances going into it. And he said, that's part of the job. I know what I'm getting to, but I think that might be part of the explanation as to why they haven't scored as much in front of him.
Yeah, maybe they just don't like him. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They scored more for Wedgie.
Yes, that's an article for Sam to write on that one.
That's right. Yeah, let him talk to Wedgwood again. All right, so tomorrow, 1:00 Central Time, we are live here on YouTube on our DLS channel. Make sure you find us, like and subscribe. We love the interaction. Look, we're growing. You can see it from our emergency pod numbers from yesterday morning, and then the explosive emergency pod numbers for the Mavs when the Luka trade happened late last night into this morning because it was past midnight. And we are steadily getting better. We didn't do much of a diehard read because Sam was ready for whatever chaos we were doing on the alumni bench, but you should very much consider signing up to be a diehard. It is a great value. There's a lot of perks, including access to the Discord, which means you can chat with fellow DLS diehards during Stars games, not just pre and post game like we do here, but you can do it during that. You also get great values with discounts on the merchandise store. You get a promo code each year you sign up to be a diehard for one free DLS t-shirt. The Stars ones are great. We're still pushing management for a couple more Stars specific ones. We have some ideas. I've been pitching them the Pavelski 0 days ding over and over again. Thank you very much, Kat. And we're working on it, but that just shouldn't keep you from going to alldls.com, clicking on the diehard link and signing up today.
So I'm going to say this on air so it can be brought to management so they can't ignore me since I have to say it. So if the Mavericks are going to trade away their best players and not care about things, maybe we should switch the Cosm event to an actual
the watch along on February 6th, coming up this Friday.
Yes. Like maybe we should do that. Could we switch that? Could it be? Let's say, you know what? That could be the
Thursday. I said Friday. I said 4 wins. It was 5 wins in a row. So I'm completely off.
Yes.
I like what you're thinking. I promise you that GM Ben looked at us and said, if we sell our allotment of tickets for the February 6th first ever DLS watch along, it's Mavericks versus Celtics over at Cosm. He said, I will turn my full attention on doing a DLS Stars watch party, or, we'll see if we hold him, to it. But yeah, if there are any tickets left, go to alldls.com. Diehards get 20% off. Get there. It is there were, I think it was 2 weeks ago, there were like 13 tickets left, and that was a long time ago. So it was, even with yesterday's news, it's still very much worth it. I've heard that venue is unbelievable for viewing a sporting event, like nothing you've ever seen. I haven't been there personally. I've seen the videos. It looks amazing. I can't wait to get there in person myself at some point. So
can we have like a GM Ben press conference, since apparently GMs in Dallas just gave terrible press conferences today, and so maybe Ben could like can we do like a GM Ben press conference, like about his dedication to winning and moves made and everything like that? I feel like that needs to be done. And I know we've moved on and I'm rambling right now, but I don't really care. So let's get him on the air.
We might just make this our VOD short of the night. Ben, the gloves have been thrown down, the gauntlet. What say you, good sir? All right, that's going to do it for our intrepid beat writer, Sam Nestler, for our alumni participant and circus ringleader, the ringmaster himself, Craig Ludwig, and of course for our producer Katya, and for Sean, I'm Owen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. 1 o'clock tomorrow, the show must go on, and then 3 games in California. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great rest of your Sunday. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.